guys, it's Alyssa. So I want to talk about something I've been thinking about for a while. Panic at the Disco. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Of course, everyone associates Panic with Brendon Urie now. But here's the thing. It wasn't always Brendon's band. I mean, obviously, everybody knows that. I personally started listening to Panic in 2014 thanks to Dan and Phil introducing me to their music. A Fever You Can't Sweat Out is still my absolute favorite album of all time. There's just something about that Baroque pop, cabaret meets pop punk energy that hits differently. So today I want to unpack why Brendon Urie is Panic at the Disco, but also why we really need to give credit to Ryan Ross. So let's start from the beginning. Panic at the Disco formed in 2004 in Las Vegas, Nevada. It started with high school friends Ryan Ross and Spencer Smith, and they brought in bassist Brent Wilson. Brendon Urie wasn't there at first. He got recruited later by Wilson. And here's the fun part. Ryan Ross was originally the lead singer, but during rehearsals they heard Brendon sing and everyone agreed, okay, this guy's got the voice. So he became the front man, and Ross moved to guitar and songwriting. From the very start, you can see that this wasn't just Brendon's band. It was a collaboration. Ross's songwriting, his vision, the way they combined pop-punk inks with theatrical cabaret-inspired energy, that set the stage for everything Panic would be known for. After they formed, Panic really started to blow up online before they even played a live show. This was the MySpace era, and they were posting demos left and right. Building the super loyal fan base, which they called Sinners. People were connecting with their music in a way that really felt personal, probably because the songs were fucked up and emotional. Then comes their debut album, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. Honestly, this album is iconic! Every track had its own little world, from the confessional, over-the-top lyrics, to the crazy instrumentation. And of course, the breakout single, I Write Sins Not Tragedy, put them on the map for mainstream audiences. Suddenly, Panic was everywhere. MTV, late-night shows, you name it. And here's the thing, this success wasn't just about Brendon's voice. It was the combination of Ryan Ross's songwriting and Brendon Urie's vocals all together made it work. But that's where things start to get really interesting, and honestly a little frustrating if you care about the full story. Because as the band started climbing, Ryan Ross was the engine behind what made so much of those early albums special. He wasn't just playing guitar, he was writing lyrics, shaping melodies, and creating the entire aesthetic that gave Panic its identity. Sure, Brendon got credit for the look because he was the face of it, but Ryan Ross and the rest of the team is the one who really built that up and crafted that into what we saw it as and what we remember of Panic at the Disco in its true prime for the fan base. So let's pause for a minute and really talk about Ryan Ross's roles in all of this, because if you skip over him, you're missing half the story. Ryan Ross, his fingerprints were all over the music. The band's style, the quirks, the lyrics that felt almost literary at times, it was him. And fans noticed. People still talk about how the band's first two albums have this distinct creative voice that kind of evaporates after Ryan Ross left. And then, in 2009, Ryan does leave the band, along with bassist Joe Walker, citing creative differences. Ryan Ross has said that it felt like a breakup, and he and Walker wanted to create music they truly believed in, and staying in Panic meant compromising his instincts. He couldn't keep making the music he wanted without running into friction with other members. That makes total sense. When your creative vision doesn't line up, sometimes stepping away is the only way to preserve it. Also, I should probably mention, it makes sense to me because I don't know any of the tea. A friend asked me, they were like, so, tell me the tea. And I'm like, girl, I don't know. I'm sorry. Like, I'll tell you everything else I know about this band. I can't tell you that. I don't know why it broke up for real. Creative differences, sure. That's what everybody says. What actually happened between Ryan Ross and all these people? Who knows? The fans, probably. I was 13. Please don't expect me to know. And I kind of don't want to air their dirty laundry. It doesn't feel like my place. Despite this, Ryan Ross formed the Young Vanes with Walker and released one album, Take the Vacation, before the band went on hiatus in 2011. Mixed reviews, creative differences, even a van theft, it wasn't exactly smooth. But it shows that Ryan Ross was committed to making art, to making music that truly reflected on what he wanted to do, rather than just following the trajectory of a band that was slowly turning into something else under Brendon's direction. Okay, so, Ryan Ross left in 2009 and everything began to shift. The Baroque pop, cabaret-inspired sound that Ross had been steering gave way to this more polished, synth-heavy pop direction under Brendon Urie. You can see it start with Vices and Virtues in 2011. Some critics praised it for musical variety, but others pointed out it lacked the depth and poetic lyrics of the original albums. Then came Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die in 2013. Which got generally positive reviews, but a lot of fans and critics noticed it leaned more into mainstream pop vibes. Themes of self-destruction, partying, and even brushes with drug culture were present. Especially considering Spencer Smith's struggles around that time. Some people loved it, some people were like, Personally, I was in the fan bubble that loved a lot of the tracks, so even if critics weren't impressed, it still hit differently for me. Death of a Bachelor in 2016 and Pray for the Wicked in 2018 to 2019 kept leaning into that theatrical, Broadway-inspired sound.
This impossible year, only heartache and heartbreak, and gin made of tears.
Pray for the Wicked in particular got praised for its confident, energetic performances with blend of pop, jazz, and big band elements.
This is my
Tracks like High Hopes made it onto a Billboard Hot 100 Top 5, so clearly people were loving it. But at the same time, a lot of fans started to feel like the band's identity was shifting away from what made the first two albums so unique. And then, the downfall. Streams started massively dropping with Viva La Vengeance, and there was a lot of backlash around Brendon personally. Past offensive comments resurfaced.
We leave you with this thought. If I see you after the show, I'm gonna fuck you. And I don't care if you want it. I more care if you don't want it. Because then I really want it. Dude. I made an absolute mistake using a transphobic slur. Even though I wasn't saying it, I was quoting somebody else that had said this to me. Literally, somebody had said this transphobic slur to me during an interview. And obviously, the interview never came out because their people probably said the same thing. Like, that's not a very good word to say. So right now, I'm just going to say it. I am so deeply sorry. I felt sick to my stomach when I realized how hurtful that word is.
Controversies with his associations, and fans started distancing themselves from him while gravitating back to the Ryan Ross written tracks. By 2023, Brendon Urie announced the end of Panic at the Disco to focus on family, closing the chapter on what had been, for a lot of people, a complicated and wildly fluctuating band journey. So let's tie this all together. When people think of Panic at the Disco today, it's almost always Brendon Urie. And sure, he's talented, I guess. He's charismatic and he's fronted some huge hits. But here's the thing. Panic at the Disco as a creative entity was never really Brendon's band. Ross shaped this identity of the band. He created the world that we fell in love with, and even when Brendon took over the spotlight, the foundation was all Ryan Ross. Without him, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out and Pretty Odd just wouldn't exist the way they do. This isn't to knock Brendon. He's done a lot and kept the band alive in some ways people loved. But when it comes to giving credit where it's due, Ryan Ross doesn't get nearly enough credit. Fans, critics, the media, they tend to credit the face of the band, not the person writing the songs behind the scene. And that's a real shame. But the thing about Panic at the Disco is that it used to be a band, and then it became Brendon Urie's ego project. Because once Ryan Ross left, everything Panic stood for basically got stripped away and replaced with something shinier, louder, and emptier. After 2011, it stopped feeling like a band at all. Brendon took control, and instead of evolving the sound Ryan had helped create, the weird theatrical thing that was just unique to them, he commercialized it. The lyrics lost their bite, the storytelling vanished, and everything got coated in this glossy pop sheen that felt soulless. In my opinion, that is why Death of a Bachelor being linked to This Is Gospel is such a big deal. Because it's like, wow, we finally get storytelling. Albums like Death of a Bachelor and Pray for the Wicked weren't about connection or creativity anymore. They were about showing off. Brendon wanted to be the star, the showman, the center of attention, and he was. But at the cost of everything Panic used to be. By the time Viva La Vengeance came out, the whole thing had run itself into the ground. The voice was shot, the production was messy, and the spark was gone. It's ironic. The same man who once carried the band's success ended up being the reason it fell apart. Panic didn't die with Ryan Ross leaving. It died when Brendon Urie refused to let it evolve beyond himself. And that's why Ryan shouldn't feel like he has to revive Panic or reclaim it. It's not his anymore. Brendon turned it into something unrecognizable. And ultimately something unsustainable. Panic became Brendon's, and because of that, it failed. Simple as that. That is why I will always say with my chest that Panic is not Ryan Ross's band anymore. But it's also not Brendon Urie's band, because Brendon ruined it too much to even be able to say that anymore. So yeah, maybe that's where we leave it. Panic at the Disco as a concept is done, and maybe that's a good thing. Brendon can move on, Ryan already did, and the rest of us can just sit with what it meant to be us. Because even in all that drama, the bad press, the ego, the downfall, the music meant something. Especially that first album. Especially the weird, melodramatic heart of it all. And maybe that's why we keep coming back to Ryan Ross. Because he never had to shout for attention, or build a brand, or turn himself into a spectacle. He just made art, and then he let it go. And at the end of the day, Panic at the Disco is a perfect cautionary tale. It started as a bunch of kids making emo music in their bedroom, and it ended this overblown, hyper-produced pop machine centered around one guy's ego. I mean, he did a collab with Taylor Swift! Are you kidding me? That's not even to say Brendon didn't have talent, but talent without restraint, without real collaboration, without heart, it burns itself out. So maybe the legacy of Panic isn't about who owned the name, or who sang the biggest note, or who got the most streams. It's about the fact that for a brief moment, we felt it. Ryan Ross built something that shaped a generation, and Brendon Urie burned it down in real time. And both of those truths can exist at once. Anyway, that's all I've got. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to me ramble about one of the weirdest, most stupidest bands to ever come out of the 2000s. Like this video if you like it, subscribe if you want more of these long, unhinged analysis videos, and hit the bell so you don't miss when I inevitably post another one 5 months from now. Thank you guys, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Now, nobody moved, but I start school in spring. Oh my god, how fucking crazy is that? I never thought I was gonna do anything with my life. I thought I was gonna be a bum, live out the government. No, I'm gonna be a fucking journalist, bitch. Look out below. It's not my last time on TMZ. Soon I will be writing for TMZ. Watch out, bitch.